Good evening. 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 We'll wait 2-3 minutes. Shabi, that is good enough. Good enough. If you follow the magazine, good enough. Doesn't matter. If you're following the magazine, that is making up for the fact. Okay. So we cover a different in the dashboard itself. You will have it. Current affairs section. We will now cover a different timeline, and we are back in 1929 again. October 1929. Rather, let's start in 1928. Then we go to October 1929. Then November 1929. December 1929. January 1930. You have the April 1930. Then 1931. 1932. 1933. And 1934. You can revise from this timeline. That is the purpose of the timeline itself. Now this is narrow report. This is narrow report. Thereafter, we have October, what is called as Irwin Declaration. November is called Delhi Manifesto. December, Lahore Session. Purna Swaraj, January 11-point ultimatum, April Dandi March and CDM Phase 1, Civil Disobedience. Thereafter, also the year of Roundtable Conference 1, thereafter Gandhi Irwin Pact, RTC2, then RTC3, CDM Phase 2, Pune Pact, McDonald Award, CDM suspended, CDM withdrawn. Gandhi Harijan campaign. Harijan campaign. Okay. This is the timeline we cover now. And 2-3 very important instances, for example, Gandhi Irwin Pact, thereafter the second roundtable conference, and the Lahore session. Very important that way. So let's start our discussion again. So if you remember 1928 Nehru report asked for revision timeline elaborating all facts associated. Yes, Chinmay. Perfect. Asked for what we today call as dominion status. And whilst asking for dominion status, we asked dominion under the empire. In 1929, the Great Depression hits the world, which is 1929-32. This is a recession at the level of global markets. It's a direct consequence of the First World War economic impact. And basically now the British want Indian support and resources, and that will lead to a concession or declaration, and that is called the Diwali Declaration or the Deepavali Declaration in October of 1929. In October of 1929, Irwin will make a declaration. It's called the Irwin Declaration. And under Irwin Declaration, the British say something very important. The British say something very, very important, which is the idea of what is the purpose. What is the purpose? And Irwin for the first time says the ultimate purpose is to give dominion status within empire to the Indians. And he said that in 1930, 31, 32, three round table conferences will be organized to discuss this dominion. Now, basically, Irwin has not said about how, when, what. These questions are not answered. The simple point is he said that when the Simon Commission will give its report, it will give report in 1930, we will meet for three roundtable conferences. This is called the famous Irwin Declaration, which basically spells out what is the purpose of the declaration, or what is the purpose of the British in India. And very simply they've said three roundtable conferences, and we will discuss dominion. Now, Gandhi and the INC now call an all party and important leaders meeting in 1939, in November of 1929. And Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose say to Gandhi that when did we decide that our purpose was dominion status within empire? We had no meeting about this. We had no discussion about this. How are we coming to this conclusion that this is what India wants? So Gandhi says to Nehru and to Bose that you give it a chance. If this trick works, then we'll take this dominion and then we'll fight for more. If not, I give you a month, you see, and you do what you want to do after that. So in this November meeting, it's called the Delhi Manifesto or Delhi Declaration. In Delhi Declaration, very simply, the INC says that if you want to give us dominion status, we want it immediately. Yeah, Irwin is talking about nothing but Montagu thing only. Swaraj within the empire. He's changed the word. We want it immediately, right now. And the RTCs should be for developing and constituting the most important concept, Constituent Assembly. They said we are not going to go to London and then discuss how, why, all these questions we will not discuss. We want assurance of dominion right now. And Gandhi will send the Delhi Manifesto to Irwin for confirmation. to discuss what is the purpose of RTC's roundtable conference. The fact is, they will ask that what is the purpose of this roundtable conference? You assure us what is the conference. So Irwin says that no, it is just to discuss that how are things. Then we'll discuss how we can give it to you, when we can give it to you. We'll discuss these things slowly but surely. And what happens is that when Irwin rejects the Delhi Declaration, now Gandhi says to Nehru, to Jawaharlal Nehru, that you can go ahead with your own plan because this is not going to work out. And that is why in December of 1929, at the Lahore session, in which Jawaharlal Nehru was the president. Now, when the British are not ready to give us dominion within a month or in a year, he will then take what is called as the Purna Swaraj resolution, which is that the target of the INC is complete independence and not dominion. And he does two things. He says that 26th January 1930, first Independence Day, and he said that Gandhi can start a movement as per his own wish. So you can see that between October, November, December, things have gone out of hand for the British, because John Simon was saying that we need to now convene something, and that was the idea that the Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald wanted to have a roundtable conference. And Irwin said that we will have a roundtable conference after Simon Commission is going to give the report. And the idea is to give India dominion status within the empire. When that happens, the fact was that even before the Simon Commission came out, Irwin was trying to use the Labour Party Prime Minister to get something out of it. And it was to restore faith in the ultimate purpose of the British in India. And at the end of the day, because they needed the resources of India during the Great Depression, it's basically a carrot. Now, dominion would be available for not a very long time to come. But Irwin promised that he will have a proper roundtable conference after Simon Commission gives in 1930. Now, on November 2nd, 1929, Delhi Manifesto, a conference of prominent national leaders, issued a Delhi Manifesto saying that the roundtable conference, should be reached out, but to formulate a constitution that would implement the dominion status and acting, therefore, as a constituent assembly in a way. The principle of dominion should be accepted immediately. INC should be given sole representation, and every other political prisoner should be released. Now, the Congress stance, Motilal Nehru and Gandhi went to meet Irwin. Irwin said, no, I will not agree to it. He said it was not to draft a constitution, it was just to discuss about it. And Irwin rejected the demands. When the demands are rejected, now in Lahore session, the roundtable conference will be boycotted. Neither RTC 1 or 2 or 3 will be in a way accepted. Complete independence was declared as the aim of the Congress. Congress Working Committee was authorized to launch a program of civil disobedience, including non-payment of taxes and something much bigger. 26th January 1930, first Independence Day. That is why this date was important for us. That is why we have a Republic Day on this day. Now, by 1930, something is clear. We want Purna Swaraj. INC will boycott and we were ready for a new movement. And very simply, Irwin, in a way, now created this chain which was going to happen. And the point was, Gandhi was given the leadership. Anybody has any issue in the first discussion? October, November, December. October, November, December. Anybody has issue? October, November, December. Anybody any issue? No. Dominion status discussion was nothing eventful. No, no, it's just they just wanted to do a drama. That's it. Why British used why British used Indian festivals as any means? It's just a coincidence. All will be started by Gandhi. Simon go back movement, nothing. Simon Commission was moving around in India, checking everything. The report was going to be given in 1930. That is the moment when its thesis will be done. Do we mean by Independence Day is on 15th August, Republic Day is on 26th January, but first Independence Day is on 26th January 1930. That date had significance for us. Are we clear? Okay. Now, now January 1930, Gandhi gives what is called as an 11-point ultimatum. If accepted, then no civil disobedience. If not, then CDM starts. So he's giving the last chance to British to agree. Now, what did this 11-point ultimatum talk about? When we talk about the 11-point ultimatum, very simply, Gandhi was trying to give certain space to Irwin that if he can accept it, he can accept it. If he can't, then we will go for CDM. You do not need to learn this, do not learn. But the basic point is that everything from army to general to everything was asked. So he said reduce expenditure on the army, reduce total prohibition on liquor. Then he said criminal investigation department should be reformed. Arms Act should allow for Indians to hold firearms, release political prisoners, have a postal reservation bill which in Indians can enter and seats are reserved. Further, reduce the exchange ratio to 1 sterling dollar, 4 dime, basically 1 rupee, 4 paisa. Then textile protection, coastal shipping only for Indians, reduce land revenue by 50%, abolish salt tax and government monopoly. And if the British accept this, then the CDM would not happen. But Irwin didn't, and that is why Gandhi will now contemplate for a very important movement which is called the civil disobedience movement. Starting with the Dandi March on 12th March 1930, he will start. He will reach on 6th April 1930. What is the importance of 6th April? I'll discuss civil disobedience with you now. Not NCM. Not NCM. Very good, very good. The Rowlatt Act Hartal happened on 6th April. It happened on 6th April. So that date was generally important. Now, see, Gandhi wanted to create a spectacle. He now chose the civil disobedience as a movement to go forward. And for him, it was very clear. One thing was very clear, that he can't use khadi as an issue, because khadi was very expensive, cannot be used by everyone. Cannot be used by everyone. Salt is something which impacts everybody. Salt law in India, it's a civil disobedience, so if Bray wants to break a law. Salt tax and salt law was such that Indians cannot produce, and they used to import Spanish and Italian salt in a country where you have 7,000 plus kilometers of coastal line. And if not enough, the fact was that the only the English can produce and process. Salt was extremely expensive because of this reason. And the Dandi March, therefore, Gandhi chooses salt because salt impacts everybody, rich or poor, Hindu or Muslim, elite or what we call as low level. Everyone uses salt. Why was Indians not allowed to manufacture salt? Because a major revenue would go away. A major revenue would go away. Salt is always controlled because salt is used by everybody. Tax is very big. Now, the CDM has multiple features. In a way, that CDM will start with Gandhi's Dandi March, in which he was going to go from Ahmedabad, or rather we'll be precise more, Sabarmati ashram to Dandi, and he was going to break the law on the Dandi, break salt law. And the idea was to go a little bit further towards Darsana and picket in front of the Darsana mills. Now, Gandhi could have easily chosen Surat, much more easier. But Surat, it would only have taken him 7 days. This took him close to 24-25 days. And in a period where there is no electronic media, you need to do it slowly so that people can become a part of it. What was chosen was that 78 people will start from Sabarmati and go to Dandi and break it. Dandi was far away, close to 200 miles plus, and he could then go through villages of India at this point of time, so that he could then also create a certain spectacle out of it. Gandhi that way was very good at PR. What is even more interesting is the fact that CDM, even before CDM started, there were lakhs of people reaching Sabarmati, and Gandhi sent one copy to Irwin, saying this is the plan, this is how we are going to go ahead. And he said to the people that these are the following instructions you will follow, because I know I will get arrested for sure. He will ask again the boycott of councils, the boycott of different bodies. But he will say that everybody should do it on their own level, civil disobedience at their own level. And that is why in civil disobedience, in certain parts of India, no rent campaign will start. No rent campaign will start, where you can't break the salt law. No chowkidari tax. Chaukidari tax was paid to zamindars by people for protection. Two other Dandi marches were done. One on the west coast and the east coast. One in the Malabar sector. The other one in the Coromandel sector. And CDM was truly an all India level movement because what we see at this point of time is women, students, and professionals all coming out. You have in Assam boycott over Cunningham circular, a circular which said that every student needs to have a character certificate saying that his character is good. Further, in different parts of India, you have what we call as national flag hoisted, and more than that, national flag became a symbol of nationalism. The fact of the matter was, during CDM, everyone participated at their own level. So, for example, you had Prabhat fairies in villages, and we have a proper manifestation of an all India level movement, and in a way, there was a maturity of nationalism with grassroots level impact. Little bit of Hindu Muslim unity, but not everywhere. Not everywhere. What is the benefit to tell Irwin? Because if Irwin knows he can't arrest him before he breaks the salt law, but then the British become active, the more they become active, the more he's covered. So Gandhi is creating a spectacle out of it. So I'll read this out, the section out to you, but this is what you write in the examination. I hope you're understanding why am I giving you the flow chart first. I want to now discuss how this actually happened. Yes, it's a proper mass movement. Yes, perfect. Okay. So he chose salt because of the fact that it is universal, it is concrete, it can be used by everyone. It has psychological importance also. Khadi is very, very hard to illuminate everywhere. And like khadi, it also impacts urban, but salt impacts urban, rural both. So British regulation said that Indians cannot manufacture salt, only English and European manufacturers can. And during the anti-Simon Commission movement, lot of protest did happen. But unemployment, poverty, unrest, people were becoming more and more desperate. So now Gandhi will say that on 2nd March 1930, Gandhi came up with this plan. He told this plan to Irwin that he would start with 78 members from Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad and go towards Gujarat coast, Dandi. At Dandi, he would then violate the salt law. And even before he proposed and actually did anything, thousands, even lakhs of people were now waiting for Gandhi to come in. Gandhi thereafter gave instructions to people because he knew that he would get arrested. So he said that foreign liquor and cloth should be picketed. Refuse to pay tax if you have the strength. The lawyers should give up their practice. Public can boycott law courts. This is interesting. Government servants should resign. Sixth, everything should be done through truth and non-violence. And local leaders should take up as soon as Gandhi gets arrested, which he knew he would obviously. Thereafter, Gandhi will start his very iconic 78 people journey towards Dandi, with Sarojini Naidu also by his side. And at Dandi, he will break the salt law. At Dandi, he will break the salt law. And as soon as he breaks the salt law, Gandhi is arrested. But spontaneously across India, multiple forms of process start. Gandhi had obviously been picked up, will be picked up on 6th April. That is something which was obviously going to happen. Newspapers were covering everything. 300 village officials had resigned and started to organize themselves around what Gandhi had said. And therefore, peasants in UP and Bihar will start no rent campaign, no rent campaign, no revenue campaign. If the zamindar is pro-British, no rent. If he is not anti-British, then you pay him, but he will not pay further. Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay will convince Gandhi that it should not be for men, it should be for women also. And that is why she was very, very important. Kamaladevi Chattopadhyay and Avantika Bai Gokhale, the wife of Gopal Krishna Gokhale, they will break the salt on the Bombay seafront. Swadeshi will now become very popular. The national flag will become very, very important as a symbol. And people today just do a drama of using the national flag on certain occasions. There were multiple instances in which people were ready to die to protect the national flag. For example, at Guntur, T.N. Naidu preferred to be beaten unconscious with 15 police officers rather than giving up his national flag itself. National flag was a new spirit. Prabhat ferries will start in villages where nationalist songs will be sung in the morning. That happens in some of the villages today also. Children wanted to be part of the national movement, and they were said that they are Vanar Sena of Gandhi. And women and children, or the girl child, was also given what is called as Manjari Sena. So everybody wanted to be part of the Ladar Gandhian movement itself. The spread was such that you have every area something happening. In Bhagalpur, you have the Rajendra Prasad and Abdul Bari starting anti-chokidari tax to what is called anti-chokidari tax to zamindars, or no chokidari tax to zamindars. Champaran and in Saran, we have two districts where salt satyagraha happened by bringing sea water to there. Then Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, or also called Frontier Gandhi, is going to help the people in Afghanistan in what is called as Khudai Khidmatgars. These are his very important volunteers who help the people. In Tamil Nadu, Sri Rajagopalachari is going to break the salt law in the Tanjore coast. This is the first, other than Dandi March, what we call as Salt March. And K. Kalyappan Nair, K. Nair is going to do it in the Vaikom Satyagraha on the other side in Kerala. T. Krishna Pillai, it was heroically seen defending the national flag in Kerala again, and it was very, very important. Orissa, you have Gopal Bandhu Chaudhary, Salt Satyagraha proved very important in Balasore, Cuttack and Puri. In Bengal Congress set up multiple instances of people going forward. And at Darsana, which was initially planned, Sarojini Naidu, Imam Sahib and Manilal Gandhi will be literally beaten up unconscious by the British, but they will not stop picketing outside this mill itself. Further, in Assam, we have students launching a satyagraha against the Kahingam Circular. In Nagaland, we have Rani Ganlui, who will be given the title of Rani later by Nehru, but she was very, very important in the Hiraka religious movement, which was very important in the Nagaland sector. In Andhra Pradesh, Godavari, Krishna, Guntur sectors, we again have salt marches which are happening. And at Sholapur, textile workers will go into a strike and multiple symbols of the government will be burnt. The fact was, Tripura Kumaran, in that sense, shows us the level of commitment which people had, wherein he was ready to be assaulted by the police and sustained multiple injuries from which he will die later in order to protect the national flag. He will not give up the national flag, but will die protecting it. And that is why today we remember it as Kumaran who protected the flag. He represents a very important personality who is not talked about but is important in the larger story. And if we talk about the features, it's a truly all India level movement, popular amongst peasant and rural masses. Unity amongst Hindu Muslim was missing because Jinnah stayed away from it. And Gandhian satyagrahis showed a lot of resilience here. Further, women and what we call as the children played a very important role in taking it forward. Students, women, anything you see all around you, and it's truly an all India level movement in that. If we are clear about this, I would like to give you a break here, and then we finish roundtable conferences. Reach till Pune Pact, because the background movement is done. Done. Okay. So we come back at 7:05 and we'll take the story forward. Perfect, Gulam. Okay. In landlocked provinces, if they needed to do a salt satyagraha, they used to take the water from the coastline and do a symbolic one. Okay. Last 50 minutes, we have to have a very interesting discussion, which is that whilst 1930, 1931, 1932, whilst the Congress was in a way utilizing the CDM or was engaged in the CDM, three roundtable conferences happened, each quite significant in themselves. First things first, are we clear about, see, since the morning we've done a lot of things. Rowlatt Satyagrah, Jallianwala, we've done non-cooperation, Chauri Chora, Swarajist, revolutionaries, and now we've discussed CDM main movement. Anybody has any issue in these smaller topics? If not, we discuss this as the last topic for today. Roundtable conferences. Are we clear? All events are clear. Perfect. So then let's discuss roundtable conferences. Now, the roundtable conferences generally are quite important because it is the first time that the British and Indians were sitting on the same table as stakeholders. As stakeholders. Uh, 1 second, Gaurav, 1 second. Give me 1 second. You want? Give me 1 second. Uh, hmm. You need the articles. 1 second. I'm giving you the article link. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Now it should be in front of you. Can we club NCM Khilafat together? NCM and Khilafat are the same thing only. Do we need to know place wise? Aditya, it would be good if you know the examples. Okay. How do we connect different events while writing answer? They will not ask you to do that. Now, as I was saying that the roundtable conferences are quite significant because of the fact that you have the British and the Indians as equal stakeholders while sitting in London. The fact of the matter is, Tina, soon, maybe soon. The fact of the matter remains is that these roundtable conferences only make sense if the INC takes part in them. And that is why when the first roundtable conference happened in London, in which now Buckingham Palace, Indians sitting equally with the British, the fact of the matter was that for a nationalist perspective, it is an eyewash. They were never going to give us anything. But symbolically, it is quite important. When the first roundtable conference happens in 2nd November and 19 January 1931 period, the simple point was everybody said the same thing, which is that when most of the business leaders are not there, when the INC is not there, everybody will reiterate that there's no point meeting for a roundtable conference without the INC. And though there were multiple discussions which were happening, and the Hindu Mahasabha, Muslim League did go, the INC was not there, and there's no discussion about Indian independence without INC. So it's basically a very embarrassing situation for the British if INC does not come and they're having a conference like this. And that is why now Irwin will be given this green light that you have to do something and bring the INC into the picture and bring them to the second roundtable conference. So you don't have to learn the people who are involved in the roundtable conferences, but have to note something very important. Dr. Ambedkar, Begum Jahanara Shahnawaz, and N.M. Joshi are the three people who every time attended all three conferences. There are variations in different areas, but these three will remain in all three. All three conferences they will be there, and this conference was just an eyewash. Now, very simply, the first roundtable conference was happening. RTC 1 happened when the CDM was at its peak, 1930. But now, between 1930 and 1931, Gandhi could again see the same thing which he saw in the non-cooperation. Gandhi could see people getting frustrated. Jail bharo was happening, but people were getting arrested left, right, and center. And governmental repression was also becoming higher. So very simply, for after going there, being involved in the CDM for close to 1 month, 1 year rather, one thing was very, very clear, that Gandhi was now looking for a truce. He was looking for a truce because the people were losing their revolutionary spirit. As in non-cooperation, he was now going to look for a truce. And the truce timing, and in a way to be part of the RTC2, was also significant because they wanted to create pressure on the British. The simple point of the matter was that this truce timing was very important, and it was Irwin's desperation to bring the INC to the second roundtable conference, which will give us the truce of the CDM, which is Gandhi-Irwin Pact on 5th March 1931. So after starting in March of 1930, exactly 1 year after they had started the battle itself called CDM, the point was Gandhi could see that people are getting frustrated, and Gandhi needed to get involved. INC should get involved in the roundtable conferences, because that way we get some little bit of bargaining power. Now, in the Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Irwin was too generous, but he was generous for a very simple reason, that he wanted to bring Gandhi and the INC. He was given a mandate by Ramsay MacDonald that you have to bring the INC to the roundtable conference. Now, this is again a very significant moment, because Gandhi was not meeting Irwin as a subordinate, but as an equal. And therefore, Gandhi meeting Irwin in itself is a very big thing. And it's the last time ever a British viceroy will meet Gandhi or any form of INC leader till 1946. From 1931 to 46, after Wellington, when Irwin is going to become too generous and the British will say, why did you give so much concessions? Wellington will come, and after Wellington, nobody will ever. Within 1 month, Irwin was removed and Wellington was sent. Wellington will never meet Gandhi and nobody else thereafter. But the truce was very interesting. The truce was that Gandhi should suspend the civil disobedience movement, which he was already itching to, and he should, or the INC should be a part of the second roundtable conference on the constitutional question. And in return for that, Gandhi had taken with him 10 demands. 10 demands he had taken. And out of those 10 demands, one was that he wanted to commute the death of Bhagat Singh. Commute means to become more lenient. He wanted Bhagat Singh to get life imprisonment and not death sentence. And he also wanted the police excesses which had happened during the civil disobedience movement to be inquired into. Now, the point was Gandhi took 10 demands. Irwin was ready to accept 8, which is leave or basically release 80,000 Satyagrahis who had been convicted for non-violent crimes, give all fines collected back, return all land taken by third parties, lenient treatment of the government servants who had resigned during the civil disobedience movement, peaceful right to picketing, withdrawal of emergency ordinances, salt law for everybody for personal consumption, peaceful agitation. Now, Gandhi is getting 8, 2 is not getting, which is Bhagat Singh and public inquiry. And over this, people have criticized Gandhi that Gandhi could have saved Bhagat Singh, but he didn't, because he accepted Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Now I'm going to tell you a scenario and I'll send you a poll. I want you to put yourself in Gandhi's shoes. Gandhi has taken 10 demands, 8 get accepted, 2 does not get accepted. And if Gandhi accepts this, 80,000 people will be released, along with the fact that other people who had lost their land and all, they will get it back. But Bhagat Singh is still hanged. Bhagat Singh is dead because of accepting of Gandhi impact. If he rejects it, all 8 will also go. So Gandhi, you are Gandhi, and either you choose A or B. Yes, you accept it. No, you don't accept it. Okay. Tell me. You accept this deal or you reject this deal? 90% yes, 10% no. Now, the answer to this question is immaterial. Even Gandhi accepts yes or no, Bhagat Singh still dies. Understand this point. If Gandhi accepts the deal, 80,000 people are saved, Bhagat Singh dies. If he rejects it, 80,000 people don't come out, but still Bhagat Singh dies. Because Irwin was very clear that he wanted to create an example out of Bhagat Singh. So the fact of the matter was that even if Bhagat Singh was in Gandhi's position, he would have accepted the Gandhi-Irwin pact. Why? Because it is an immaterial proposition. Either way, Bhagat Singh dies. It's about saving this. Can you get this out of it or not? Because as it is, Irwin would have not cared if these two demands would have led to a breakdown. So very simply, when you wrong answer because I put in B as the right answer. When you put in simple point, when you argue or somebody argues to you that Gandhi could have said Bhagat Singh, the answer to that question is what? The answer to that question. The answer to that question is Gandhi was in no position to save Gandhi. Gandhi was in no position to save Bhagat Singh. Because either way, Gandhi cannot save Bhagat Singh. Try to understand this point. Gandhi either accepts or does not accept. Bhagat Singh dies. So simple point is Gandhi is not in a position to save Bhagat Singh. So Gandhi can't do anything because if he accepts, still he loses Bhagat Singh. If he does not accept, still he loses Bhagat Singh. So rather he chose the bigger path, which is to accept it so that at least 80,000 people were coming out of jails, which is a very big thing at this point of time. Now, once Gandhi will accept this, and why the truce? Because everybody will say that the enthusiasm was very, very high. Peasants, the shopkeepers, but people were disappointed. But the fact of the matter was that people were also getting frustrated and they were becoming more and more weak. So, when it came to ratifying the Gandhi-Irwin Pact in 1931, when the Karachi session will happen, now very simply, yes, Bhagat Singh was an example for future revolutionaries. Irwin was never going to accept it. Now, on 6 days before they were going to be hanged, the Congress is going to hold a special session. This special session, whilst Gandhi was going towards Karachi, he was shown a lot of black flags and people denounced him quite a lot. But you have now been in the shoes of Gandhi right now, so you know how it feels. You are basically helpless in this situation because Irwin is ready to either make you accept 80,000 people and in no option does he actually get an option to save Bhagat Singh. So the simple point is Karachi session will happen. In Karachi, two things will be accepted very quickly, very important. One is called the fundamental rights and the other is called the National Economic Program. These two things are accepted by the INC, saying that whilst we are admiring the bravery and sacrifice of the three martyrs, we have no control over that. Purna Swaraj is what we want, and these rights were guaranteed to the people if the INC is able to win Swaraj, which is free speech press, right to association, right to assemble, universal adult franchise, legal rights irrespective of caste, creed, and sex, neutrality of state in religious matters, free and compulsory primary education, and protection of culture and minorities and linguistic groups. I hope you can actually see that this is nothing but what we do get as fundamental rights today. So the idea of fundamental rights which we have today are coming out of the Karachi conference. Now, the National Economic Program is also interesting because this was the program which the INC would follow if they get power out of the second roundtable conference, saying that we will exempt rent for uneconomic holding. If it's a too small an economic holding, we'll reduce rent, we will give indebtedness relief, we will control Ashri. Ashri means toll and customs. We will give better conditions. We will give women workers better condition. Workers and peasants will get union rights. And the idea of PSU also comes from here. State ownership of key industries. But the fact was the Karachi conference, the Karachi session, lot of big things were talked about. But when the second roundtable conference will happen, something very significant will happen. So, second roundtable conference. Now Gandhi reaches London, and Gandhi becomes the sole representative to represent INC. And Gandhi was a spectacle, was a enigma in London automatically. And very simply, now the British could see something. What they could see was that the INC has too much power, Irwin has accepted too much. So they needed to undercut the ideas of the INC and show that INC does not represent India. So at the second roundtable conference is very iconic picture. We have Dr. Ambedkar. We have Gandhi here. We have McDonald, Ramsay McDonald here. The fact of the matter was simple, straightforward. Second roundtable conference, the Gandhi had an upper edge, and INC had too much power at this point of time. So they had to find a way to undercut and show to the world that the INC does not represent India but only a specific interest. And here they will get the second key to our nationalism. First key to nationalism was communalism. What will happen is that Gandhi will say that I reiterate Purna Swaraj, that they were obviously never going to give. He says that I reject separate electorates because separate electorates divide India. He said I reject separate electorates. But now INC, when Gandhi says this, Ramsay MacDonald says, and Wellington now has come into the picture. They say that if you are saying separate electorates, then what about the Muslims? What about the Sikhs? What about the Anglo-Indians and the Indian Christians who are asking for it? They are saying that they want it. And then they will point towards Dr. Ambedkar and say that the depressed classes are also asking for it. And this will become unacceptable to Gandhi, that depressed classes are going to get separate electorates. Because if depressed classes get separate electorates, till this point, they were dividing India like this. For example, religion by religion, which is Hindu, then Muslim, then Sikh, then Anglo-Indian, then Indian Christian. Now, if you make depressed classes a part of the separate electorates, you are making it within the Hindu society itself a new category. So if you can give Hindus, you can then give it to Brahmins, then you can give it to Kshatriyas, you can give it to Vaishyas, you can give it to Shudra. What is going to happen is that the Indian society then gets divided into lakhs of pieces. Gandhi could see that if depressed classes, he outrightly says depressed classes cannot be given to separate electorates because they are not a separate part of Hindu society. And basically, all of them will come together in what is called as the Minorities Pact. And now the Minorities Pact will give the British an idea. Okay, this is how we basically break Indian nationalism. We can break Indian nationalism on communal lines and also on minority lines. Basically, now it is Gandhi versus minorities, which is basically Indian versus Indian. And now the British can simply say that, see, Gandhi was saying he represents India, but most of Indians don't support Gandhi itself. And there's a major discrediting of Gandhi in this whole process. And when he comes back, he launches the second phase of CDM, but it was already too late. So the second roundtable conference is a very important turning point, because when Irwin will be replaced by Wellington, and when overwhelming numbers came for this conference, Gandhi will now become aggressive, but his aggression is undercut by the people of India itself. Because here the Congress stance will be with Gandhi and Sarojini Naidu there. Congress stance is going to be responsible government immediately. We only represent political India, and untouchables should not be considered a minority, and separate electorate should not be given to anyone. This will in turn lead to a deadlock. The deadlock is going to be Ramsay MacDonald and Churchill both were looking for a way of discrediting the INC. What Ramsay MacDonald will say is that, okay, if that is the case, then what about the loyalists? What about the communists? What about them? They are saying that the Congress does not represent India. And here, the Minorities Pact of Muslims, depressed classes, Christians, Europeans, and Anglo Indians will now create a deadlock where Gandhi will desperately fight to say that no, they are not a part of this separate electorate, they are part of the Hinduistic society. But this deadlock will not end. And what will end is that there will be a small announcement that we may be creating Northwestern Frontier Province and Sindh as a separate province, which will happen in the Government of India in 1935. They said we'll set up a certain kind of consultative committees, and we will also look for demand for independence, but we will not try to give it right now. So failed to convince that also. But the point of the matter was, once Gandhi is going to come back on 29th, he will decide to resume civil disobedience. And what will happen is that as soon as he will resume, Gandhi will try to meet Wellington. Wellington will say, I don't want to meet you itself. And on 4th January 1932, he will get arrested for enticing violence. And now Wellington will show utmost ruthlessness. He will show utmost ruthlessness, because throughout 1932, whatever Irwin had done will be undone by Wellington. Wellington will ban INC, take all their funds, arrest all activists, properties will be confiscated, ashrams will be occupied, multiple high level of repression. And the fact of the matter was that the British were now using the stick. If Gandhi Irwin Pact was the carrot, now comes the stick, which is now they're basically disciplining, and they had done their job. They had proved to the people of India and to the world that INC does not represent India, but the minorities are not happy with the INC itself. And therefore, with governmental action, what we see is 80,000 people will again get arrested in 4 months. People will respond with anger, picketing will happen, illegal gatherings will happen, but the British will show utmost level of ruthlessness in everything which was being done previously. And Wellington was not ready to respond in any positive way. In Alwar, we will have a local Raja who will even proclaim a new area under him, which is going to be seen as an autonomous area, but it will also be repressed. And Gandhi could see that the people are becoming frustrated, nothing was really happening, and therefore he will suspend the movement in 1933. And by 1934, Gandhi had no option but to give up on CDM. So the point of the matter is, it is extremely problematic on how the roundtable conferences end. And I'll tell you what is the third roundtable conference. Okay. Perfect, Namrata. This is a positive message from you. Perfect, great, beautiful. So the deadlock was never resolved. No. Hmm? One Indian is fighting another Indian. That is the irony. That is the irony. That is why I tell you this whole story without looking at your messages. The fact of the matter is that the British now found this second key. First key is what? First key is what? First key is communalism. Second key is minorities. This is a word which you will see now in everything. August Offer, Cripps Mission, Cabinet Mission, Indian Independence Act. One key, if it was the concept of communalism, second key was now found. This was found through the separate electorate in 1909. By 1931, they had the second key. And this will literally delay the whole process of Indian independence. And this is the problem. And Gandhi, as you can see, I showed you this timeline in the beginning. If you remember this timeline, one second. This is the timeline I showed you. So, if you look at it, now do you get the whole point? Because I will then discuss this and then discuss this Pune Pact. Because phase 2 of CDM never succeeded. Because it will be suspended and withdrawn because there's a lot of repression from the British. So you can see it's a very packed section. After this, it is not like this. But are we clear about Nehru Report, Irwin Manifesto, Lahore Session, 11-point Dandi March, Gandhi Irwin Pact, and the importance of the second roundtable conference? The second roundtable conference is where the turning point comes in. Are we clear about this? Yes? Okay. Now the last thing I will discuss with you today is the fact that CDM never achieved it what it wanted. Roundtable conferences, Gandhi went with a lot of confidence that he will be able to get something out of it. Rather, we gave them the second key there itself. Third roundtable conference will happen and nothing really will again happen. Third roundtable conference will again be like this only. The INC will not go. I'll come back to this later. The INC will not go. And this, which will be held in 1932, Congress will boycott it. Labour Party, because it was frustrated by how Wellington was acting, was very sad about it. But again, other people will go. No significant outcomes out of this. And the basic point is, once third roundtable conference is done, first thing we do tomorrow is the fact that the government of India in 1935 was now ready. And as I told you, it is here that a college student called Chaudhry Rahmat Ali will come up with the idea of Pakistan for Muslim minorities. And the Congress, as it is, saw these as an eyewash, so nobody became a part of it. But in between all of this, in between Gandhi coming back and going to jail, came the most interesting, irritating concept. And the irritating concept is called the McDonald Award. What do I mean by McDonald Award? See, what did Gandhi say about depressed classes? Should they be given separate electorates? Labour Party was always towards India because of the fact that Attlee is the one who's running it after McDonald, and Attlee, Nehru, and Bose are friends. Come on. He said no. And no means that the depressed classes should not be given. Now, Ramsay MacDonald will give what is called as the Communal Award in 1932, and he will say depressed classes, as Dr. Ambedkar asked for, we give them separate electorates. So it's just done the opposite of what Gandhi wanted. And therefore, now Ramsay MacDonald is doing something so as to divide the INC itself, because he will grant the separate electorates to depressed classes. Dr. Ambedkar throughout the three sessions had asked for it also. But now the British was trying to divide the Indians further. Once they had found the key, they're trying to use that key. The Congress was not happy, but the Congress knew that Dr. Ambedkar is a very towering figure. So they could not outrightly say that we don't want depressed classes, because depressed classes was asked by Dr. Ambedkar in that sense. So neither Congress wanted to reject it or accept it. And the fact of the matter remains that depressed classes as separate from Hindus was something very dangerous. Now Gandhi was sleeping in his cell and he gets to know about the communal award, and this will literally take his sleep away, and he was in deep shock, literal deep shock, because he believed that if we divide Hinduism further, depressed classes will never come out of where they are. Untouchability will become something which is important, because Hindu and depressed classes society will start to conflict. As separate electorates was given to India, Hindu and Muslim, they were fighting. He said that Hindu society will start to fight from within. And rather than eradicating untouchability, now they will start to perpetuate untouchability, because that gets you depressed classes itself. So there is further division which can happen. And Gandhi knew that if he does not do something, it will go out of hand. He said, I am ready to give them wider reservation for the full adult franchise, but joint electorate is what we want. We can't let them go for reserved seats, separate electorates. It will not lead to eradication of untouchability. And therefore, now in the Yadarwa jail, Gandhi will sit on the fast unto death for saying to Dr. Ambedkar that please take this demand back so that Ramsay MacDonald Award can be taken back. Dr. Ambedkar obviously knew his position in history at this point of time. He knew that Gandhi was too important and is important equally as him, and he can't let Gandhi die over an issue which the British is trying to divide. Dr. Ambedkar could also see what the British was trying to do. So after pressure was created on him, MC Raja, Malviya and Dr. Ambedkar will sit and hammer out what is called the Pune Pact. Under Pune Pact, the number of seats reserved for the depressed class is increased from 74 to 147, and 18% of all seats in the Central Legislative Assembly were going to go to the depressed classes. This was seen as an amendment by the British, but the British was basically checking if they could destroy the INC in that sense. So on 25th September 1932, the Pune Pact will be there. No separate electorates for depressed classes, instead reserved, joint. 18% of all seats in Central Legislative Assembly, and throughout India, 147 seats. The government accepted it as a communal award, what we call as amendment. But ironically, when the government of India Act 1935 came, again the provision was there. Now, in order to show to Dr. Ambedkar that Gandhi was not joking or was not using Dr. Ambedkar, Gandhi goes into a new phase, and that is why the second phase of the Harijan of the CDM never actually worked out, because Gandhi, after his release from in 1933, because of again health grounds, he will go into what is called as the Harijan campaign. Try to show to the people that the untouchables should not be treated like that. Show to Dr. Ambedkar that he was serious. Gandhi knew that if he took this issue up, there would be some form of headway. And that is why he will start in September 1932 All India Anti-Untouchability League and a weekly called Harijan, where he will start to advocate for untouchability reform. He will shift his ashram from Sabarmati, where he said that if I will not return until and unless I get Swaraj, he will go to Wardha, and from Wardha he will start his Harijan campaign. Harijan campaign is Gandhi's straightforward response to what was happening at this point of time. And therefore, from Wardha, he will start his 20,000-kilometer journey between November 1933 to July 1934, where he will go around in India. Harijan Sevak Sangh will be set up as way of spreading the message itself. He urged the political workers that they should do good for depressed classes. He will take too fast to show his seriousness in 1934. He had now given up on the CDM itself. He will be criticized also. He'll be literally criticized by the caste Hindu, elite Hindus, and the upper caste. He will also become the part of the temple entry movement in 1934. And he will believe that only the Harijan campaign can show to everyone that depressed classes are not part of are part of Indian society and not a different part of Indian society. It is here that we stop today. When we come back tomorrow, when we come back tomorrow, we will take the story forward and give India independence by 8 p.m. tomorrow. Done? I will give you a summary of this tomorrow morning again in order to consolidate. So don't worry about it. But I hope you get it. This is the period where it is quite messy. It's literally messy because multiple things are happening together. And you are able to now understand this basic idea which I gave you. Yes, if yes, we can leave early and we can meet tomorrow same time. Start at 10 a.m. and give India independence by 8 o'clock. Yes, tomorrow's timing 10 to 8. Don't go by what is it is showing. Come at 8 at 10 a.m. We will figure out the timing together. Perfect, Justin. Perfect. Great. That is the point, Samita. People tend to actually misinterpret Gandhi quite a lot. Gandhi could have basically used Dr. Ambedkar and not do anything. But he starts his Harijan campaign to show to Dr. Ambedkar that he was very serious about what he was doing after Pune Pact. So he could have been a standard politician and not do anything. And that is why Harijan campaign was a turning point. Gandhi will go out of the picture for the national movement. He will only come back by 1940. Gandhi was not involved in second. Third roundtable conference is just a random show. Nothing happens really. British were now ready to give the next important document, Government of India Act 1935. I'll repeat all of this tomorrow again and we will discuss it in context. So we will start with Government of India 1935, Gandhi Bose, August offer, Cripps mission, Wavell plan, Cabinet mission, INA trials, RIN mutiny, Indian independence. Perfect. So I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Take care and bye bye.